You're all going to die down here.
Voodoo Priestess with the very uncanny impression of, I believe that's the Red Queen. Wow, that's just uncanny. Of course, we couldn't afford the real soundbite, so it would have to be Voodoo Priestess. That's right, folks. For this episode of Streamin' Demons Preview, we are getting into the old film, which is Resident Evil. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, the first one. And then the new with Charmed. Oh, no. Crap. Hey, Voodoo, what did I watch? Tron Legacy. No, wait. Witches. Craft, Macaroni, and Witches of East. I don't know. Something with witches. And then the rento, we throw a curveball. That's right. We throw them a curveball. We don't have to rent a brand new one always. We have Voodoo with the, I believe, Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. And in this episode, you find that Jim finds out there's an entire series. All that and more on this episode. Let's hit it. Do this in 3, 2. Hey everyone, Jim Phoenix here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Streamin' Demons with my co-host Evangeline, or as you know him, Voodoo Priestess. Say hello.
Hello.
And our special guest, all the way from the land of Twitters, tweetings. I don't know how to say it. The Twitlands, the Twatlands, the Twitters. FormaldehydeFce.
Hello, nice to be here. I love it.
Great. And one day Jim will actually know how to use Twitter or Instagram and he'll get with the lingo, but today is not that day. So if you are new to Streamin' Demons, remember nothing because you're brand new to it. But if you're old and seen this program before, remember we do one borrowed, which is a rental or something brand new in the theater that we can kind of borrow or rent, one newish, and one old. So with that being said, as Jim is a very lazy man, he always lets the guests go first. FormaldehydeFce, take it away. What do you got?
All right. I selected something, kind of old. I mean, if I think about it as being old, it makes me feel ancient, like I'm decaying right before my own very eyes. If I look in the mirror, it's that scene from Poltergeist where he's just peeling his skin away. But I selected Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Okay, now is this the infamous Resident Evil that one of my former co-hosts swears has a beaver shot in it?
It is. It
Oh
is
my
that.
God.
And they are right.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? That was
That's
forever ago.
That's the only thing I remember in my podcast history was that.
See, I forgot about it. And then I rewatched it just in the last couple days. And it popped up. I was like, oh, my God. Like, whoa.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, my darling.
We're really committing to this part in Resident Evil.
Okay, and where does this stream on? Just for our audience knows, not because I'm taking notes.
I was able to watch it on Amazon Prime Video.
Okay. Amazon, another point for Amazon Prime Video. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just for our fans at home, not because I'm going to watch that 5 minutes. But continue, sir.
Yeah, so Resident Evil, I selected it for a couple reasons. One, because it was just one of the most, it stood out in my mind from my youth as a formative kind of horror film where I was way too young to be seeing it. That was about right. I don't know. And there's just a lot of scenes in it. Like altogether, it's a little bit of a mess, but there's just so many prominent scenes in it that stick out in my mind so clearly that I had to pick it up. And also, I play an online game called Dead by Daylight. They just announced a Resident Evil chapter.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Dude, we also play that.
Do you?
Although we never played it together.
We just started it.
It's so fun, and they just announced Resident Evil.
Oh, that's me so cool. I'll get some. Thank you.
Yeah. So
awesome.
that was what drove my selection.
Oh, that's great timing. I was gonna ask if you ever played the Resident Evil games.
Oh,
then you said how young you were when the movie came out, and I started looking like my Tinder profile is like the man melting in Poltergeist. I was like, oh god, you came. That's when a kid.
I wasn't that young. I was in high school, and I was
high school.
High school was just longer ago than I had remembered it being. I was in high school, like 5 years ago. 2005.
Oh,
everyone's favorite year 5 years ago, 2005.
Oh, right. That happens. I'll tell you what. As the older you get, like it was just last year, and before everyone here was born. Last year.
Yeah.
COVID time will do that to you, though, man.
It will. Time isn't even real anymore.
Right. Okay, so you've got this. Did it hold up?
I think it does hold up. It does. There's CGI issues, but at the same time, the CGI actually kind of looks like stop motion in parts, which I'm partial to. It feels like a lot more grounded. And it's before the movies go completely off the rails, which there's 6 of them, and the first 2 are fine, and then it just woof, that just takes a real downward turn, especially when they start trying to put 3D in it. But the first one, that's a good time.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean about the last 3 are all called the final chapter. It's the final chapter for realsies this time. Revelation.
The second one is called Apocalypse. And it's that should be the end of that. But no, apparently there's just more after that. And Revelations and, I don't know.
Dark Phoenix. Oh, that was X-Men movie. Sorry.
It might as well have been. Listen, we can probably find some connections there. We can work it in.
Oh, I would love to see that crossover. Yeah. Marvel Zombies was one of my faves.
Oh, so
okay,
good.
So you're in this. Bring us to it. Even if I've never seen this before in my life, what's the one thing besides the obvious where I wrote down because 12 people told me to see it? No. What's one thing that pops in your mind? What's the one thing that pops in your mind about this movie?
The one thing that pops in my mind about this movie that just stands out beyond everything else about this movie, there is a scene, and I'm not going to talk about it too much because you kind of just got to see it, but there's a scene with a booby-trapped hallway involving lasers.
Yes,
and
I'll get excited.
Fucking nuts. And I think about this shit at least once a week. I don't know. Apropos of nothing, I'll just be sitting there at eating dinner or just taking the dog for a walk, and I'll just be like, man, that scene with the lasers, they really fucking went hard on that scene, didn't they? And they did. They sure fucking did. Woof. It was grim. I love it. It's amazing.
No, and I love all of her reactions. As soon as you said that scene, Voodoo Priestess and I both said, we know exactly which one. We both got excited, adamantly so. That's the best. That is awesome.
It's so good.
The music, by the way, the soundtrack is something I used to play because I wasn't in high school then. Maybe if I was playing an older, maybe I was 21 Jump Street. Maybe I was in high school back then.
Hey, maybe.
I was the narc. I was hey kids, where is the next rave at? I believe it was 5 raves back then.
Hello, fellow children. Please direct me to your drug supplier as I am also wanting to get high.
Yeah, I think we worked that beat together. And no, that's awesome. I'm glad it holds up, and I'm glad it's free on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Or free because I put that in quotes since you have to sign up for Amazon Prime, but it pays for itself if you buy one thing.
It does.
Now, what would you give it? The godfather of all real video game movies that were successful was Resident Evil. What would you give it for a Cthulhu rating out of 5? And you can go negative, as we discovered later or earlier today. You can go negative if you want to.
I'm definitely not going negative with it. It's an enjoyable ride. I like the performances people give in it. Like I said, the story is it's all over the place, but it's also a video game movie. So, you're not expecting perfection there. You're not expecting Citizen Kane from the Resident Evil motion picture. But
The next chapter.
I'm going to go ahead and give that, give it a 3.5.
3.5, that's huge.
I like it.
Oh, wow.
It's
Especially
great.
for a video game movie. Milla Jovovich was still starting to get into her acting chops. You know, if she wasn't the full-blown megastar, then did a bunch of action movies. 3.5.
Right, you got Michelle Rodriguez in there as well.
I forgot she was in that.
Yeah, with the elevator scene, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She kills it in that. Let me see. There's I cannot think of his name, but he is, I don't know if you've seen the show that was on Fox with Kevin Bacon called The Following, where he plays an FBI agent, and basically he's responsible for putting away this serial killer who themes all of his murders off of Edgar Allan Poe stories and poems.
That sounds pretty cool.
And when he gets put away, he has this basically on the outside operating cult of people that admire his work and continue killing for him. It's great. Anyway, that's beside awesome. The point, that serial killer is in Resident Evil. I don't remember his name. I'm gonna look it up now.
That's okay. You're gonna find out. I don't even remember the name of the movie I watched. That's how good I am with names. I'm like,
it's true. I've told him about 1 million times what it is because he keeps using the wrong title. It's a completely different title.
I'm not going to change during this podcast either.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Man,
Resident Evil. That is a nostalgia trip.
It is, and you get to hear a bunch of Slipknot songs.
Oh my god!
That's what I'm saying. The soundtrack was. I had the soundtrack. That was like one of the few soundtracks I bought. Like,
it's great. There's a really great scene where like Mila Jovovich like jumps up, kicks off a wall, and then kicks a dog in the face. Like, love that.
And that's where I remember her
dog.
practice.
Evil dog. It is a zombie dog. Like, it's not just some dog. It's not just like someone's dog.
Hey, Mila.
She's not just an asshole. If there's reasoning. That would be funny, though. Yeah. I'd watch that movie.
This is when she was starting from being an action star. This is actually one of her first action roles. And I remember her training regimen. I'm telling my age. Way back in the day, because it's like, that's what we did to train. And she took it seriously.
She puts it into it. Like, she goes after it pretty hard in this movie. And like we said, like there's like full like nudity on her part, like, which is unexpected, especially in just like a video game movie. It's like, you don't have to have that in your contract if you're making Resident Evil.
Yeah, but they went for a hard R. Like, they did blood, guts, swearing, nudity, the whole thing. Let's go straight out hard R.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also it's directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who notorious for just making these kinds of movies. So like, he made the most recent Monster Hunter. He did all of the Resident
That's also
Evils.
her too, right? I think Monster Hunter is also with Mila Jovovich.
It is. Yep.
I've not seen that yet. That was going to be my rental for a future episode.
It's a good time.
Is it? Good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I was like, do I want to watch this?
You do. You want to watch it. You're just like, this is crazy. Like, you can like enjoy things that are just absolutely bonkers. That is one of them.
That's all I'm here
He also did like Alien versus Predator and Death Race and Event Horizon. Wow. And lest we forget, Mortal Kombat.
Which one?
The first one.
The first and the only good. I haven't seen the newest one, so I
haven't either. But I do like the first one, even though that is also not like a great movie. But man, is it enjoyable?
Yeah, and parts of that
good music.
Not age well. But you know what? Christopher Lampert's in it, so that's all I ever needed.
There you go.
Like, got the Highlander as Raiden.
Yeah,
good. I don't care what else happens in the movie.
Love that.
Shot someone's head off is all I want to see. Well, that's oh man, I'm not following that one. Okay, Voodoo Priestess, what did you have? I'm not following that.
So you had old and I had rental. So I rented, what was it called? Oh yeah,
exactly.
A classic. Hey, no. I rented a classic.
What did I watch today?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original movie.
Buffy.
Oh,
Luke Perry.
I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Christy Swanson, Paul Rubens.
Yeah, Donald Sutherland, right?
Yep.
Yes. Ha ha ha. So I chose this one especially because there's a glaring difference between the movie and the TV show. And I think they're both actually really enjoyable for what they are. You just have to enjoy them separately. You can't, even though I do remember the first episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they kind of did a callback to the movie. And I was like, that's kind of weird because it's Sarah Michelle Gellar and Christy Swanson. So unless she
Who?
got 100% plastic surgery and then aged down or up, I can't
There's
remember.
a TV show based
Buffy
on
the
the movie.
Vampire Slayer.
When did that come out? Is that recent?
What? Have you never seen the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I see like with Luke Perry, right? Like
No,
like
no,
he's
there's
looking
a
outside
TV
the window,
show.
like, dude, there's a TV show. So was the TV show first?
No.
And then the
No.
movie?
Oh my god, how do you run a horror site?
Wait, when was this? When
It's
was
such a
this?
good show. This came out in like 97, the show,
yeah,
I think.
I was drinking during those years.
So was I, but you know,
You still remember?
we get
it.
along.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was released
Buffy.
it went from 97 to 03.
it
Yeah.
ran that long?
Oh yeah, 7 seasons. I've watched that show more than any other show.
Oh my.
I rewatched that show
They had
all
a
the time.
spin-off series with Angel.
Yep.
Wasn't that Bones?
No. He was in Bones.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Oh, that's why that guy looks so familiar. Because, oh my god,
How do you not know about Buffy, but you know about Angel?
Well, I know all I know about Angel because I knew about Bones because when Bones first came out, the lead cast for Bones looks like my ex-girlfriend, and we just broke up, and she was going to be an actor, and I was like, oh my god, she landed like Bones. Like, how did that happen? So I was like watching engrossed in the first episode until I saw the credit reel. I'm like, okay, it's not her. It's like, oh my god, that was quick. Like, dump me, get a mega role. I think that's like a T-shirt now. You have to date me first to dump me to get their mega role. That's how the production goes. That's the only reason I knew about Angel. So wow, 7 seasons, Buffy the Vampire. Okay, maybe I should have someone review it for the website.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's a
I might have to
classic.
watch
It's a cult
this.
classic, dude.
The movie, I agree. The movie's a cult classic. Luke Perry, how can you go wrong? Straight out of Dylan. He's a 90210 owing his entire lines. So Evie, sorry, Voodoo Priestess. You picked this movie because you want to call back to the childhood of watching the TV show. You want to see what the movie inspired, right?
Sure. That, and I remember Pee Wee Herman dying slowly.
That's the best scene. And
It is.
he hands it up so perfectly. Like
Kinda.
just past the point where it's like, okay, this isn't funny, but he just keeps going and it's so funny.
And it gets funnier again, yeah.
He's great in it. He's so good.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever seen Cheech and Chong? I believe
Yeah,
Cheech
Up
and
in
Chong's
Smoke?
next movie, which is actually called the next movie.
Oh, no.
So that's the one where Paul is actually a more dirty comedian than most people know. Like when he was caught doing things in a movie theater, people are like, yeah, we get it. Oh, Pee Wee Herman is doing that? Oh, right, yeah. His rehabilitated image of Pee Wee, like, no, you can't do that. Your kid's host now. But no one really was too surprised. We're most surprised Pee was a kid's TV show. That was the biggest surprise. So did you know him from, you just knew him from Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse, right? That's why it was the death scene was, you didn't even watch. Okay, how did you miss Pee Wee's Playhouse?
There's a lot of blind spots in this podcast. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Right? Oh my God.
What is happening?
Man.
I
Ugh.
knew about Pee Wee's Playhouse, I think. I probably did.
That's actually my relationship with it as well. Like I didn't watch the show. I was just aware of it. I like kind of saw it a couple times and I was like, it's not for me. But I did
Yeah.
like the movie, like Pee Wee's Big
Oh, yeah.
Adventure,
Big Adventure.
Where he's
directed by
riding
Tim
around a bike.
Burton.
Scary.
Yeah.
That movie was scary, dude. It had some bite.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're getting off. Okay, so
Yeah,
back
we
to
are.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Kristen
Swanson.
Swanson.
Yes.
One of those two.
So it starts her journey as a bobble-headed, stereotype blonde cheerleader. Whee!
Clueless. Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And then one day, Donald Sutherland comes to her and is like, hey, you're a vampire slayer, and you have the mark to prove it. And she's like, oh my God, I totally got that ugly mole removed. And then vampire shenanigans happen, and she learns to see the bigger picture and tread on the earth. Or wait, don't tread on the earth. I can't remember which one she was opposed to.
She was doing something to something. She was killing people from 90210. That's all I remember. And Billy Julie's Playhouse.
Man, that was such a stacked cast. Like it had
Oh, yeah.
the main bad guy was Rutger Hauer, like Paul Rubens, David Arquette, Luke Perry, just killing it.
Yeah.
Also,
Rat
Seth
Pack
Green
3.
was apparently in a scene that was cut, which makes him the only person to appear both in the series and the movie.
Now, here's my question to Voodoo Priestess. Do you remember who Seth Green is? Because I had to explain it to either you or Box. Who did I have to explain who Seth Green was?
I think it was me, and I think something about a leprechaun came up, but he wasn't a leprechaun.
No, he's not a leprechaun. He's just very short.
Very small boy.
Oh,
Oh, man.
I
He's
hope
a
Seth
delight,
Green
though.
doesn't listen to this because now I'll just feel bad.
I'm
I
not.
If he
swear-
does listen to it, Seth Green, I loved you in Idle Hands.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was in there.
Yeah.
Man.
And Holidays, the little anthology.
Oh yeah.
See, he's did some good horror stuff. All right, so Voodoo, what would you give this out of Cthulhu's 1 to 5?
Probably 3.5 to 4 Cthulhu's.
What?
Like, it's a good movie.
Oh my gosh! I thought for sure I could. Okay.
Well, were you think it was going to be super low or a lot higher?
Yeah. I thought. Okay, no, it's all good. It's all good. I can do this.
It's a good movie. It's just got that perfect like 90s cheese to it. Like
Yeah.
the scenes inside like the mall, you're just like, man, remember the malls looked like that when it was just like overdosing on neon? Ugh. Incredible.
My bedroom still looks like that, by the way.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. And it's all glow in the dark stars. You can like close your eyes, going, "Is that stars in my bedroom ceiling?" Yes,
There you
it
go.
is. That's amazing, especially since most of your ratings, Voodoo, are like 2, and that was a movie you're like, yeah, I kind of liked it. I'm giving it 2.
That is not true.
You got the haters club going for you. It's like, oh man.
I'm just super duper picky and weird. I also gave Bad Biology 5 stars, so you know my tastes are wrong.
I can't believe your mother had you watch that for sex ed. That was just the most bizarre choice as a parent.
That's not how that happened.
Wow.
you have your version of that story. I have mine. And who's our listeners going to believe? Huh? Okay, so I'll do my without looking at the title. I have my IMDb page up. Mine is the new. I almost did this as a rental a couple weeks ago. It is is it Charmed of the Craft? What did I
The
do?
Craft Legacy. Oh my
Thank
god.
you. Tron Legacy. I did Tron Legacy, and it's got some of those bikes riding, those zooms, those car things.
No, you're doing the Witches one. You're doing the Witches one.
Shit, the witch one? Which one
Yes.
are you doing?
The
Which?
one where you think the brothers were banging because you weren't paying any attention.
Okay, that's not my fault. So okay, let's get the storyline out of the way. The storyline for Tron or Craft Legacy: a group of high school students form a coven of witches. Okay, that's the entire log line. That's kind of a little weak. It's a PG-13. Okay, they casted. I had no idea. I saw David Duchovny was in it, and a bunch of people. I had no idea who it was. So I'm like, cool, why not? I was going to rent it, watch the Empty Man. That was that one Empty Man podcast we did a long time ago. I'm so glad I didn't pay money for this. I'm going to start it out with that. I did not watch the original Charmed or
The
Craft.
Charmed is a completely different witch show.
Bewitched, Charmed, Craft, Sabrina, Lakers, and 5. That's all I know. It doesn't even rhyme no more. But I tried to like it. It was a Blumhouse. Like, oh my God, Blumhouse! Holy crap! How can you go wrong?
Well, Blumhouse is notorious. It's either you get crap or you get something passable.
Yeah, they're really hit and miss.
Yeah, and for me, this was passable. It reminded me. Okay, when I said those two brothers were having sex, that's because all of the male characters look like Ken dolls. I could not tell them apart. Another thing in their character let me tell them apart either. So either physical characteristics or actual personal characteristics, they're all the same. I thought they were all just the stepbrothers, Mike. So is this stepbrother banging his brother? Is like, what? PG-13? Like, what was my rating on this one? No, it turned out to be friends or something like that. I didn't know. I was an honest mistake on my part.
Wait, they're friends sleeping together, or they're just friends hanging out together?
No, they were banging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
they're good friends.
Yeah, they're
okay.
which does go into a bit of where the movie could go better. It could go better. Like, it's Blumhouse. You know the acting is going to be passable. Like you said, it's either going to be or a superstar, right? The acting is going to be passable. The script's going to be something on a dartboard. Everything's going to be slick. CGI is going to be there. The plot, I didn't understand much of the plot. Like, the whole plot was just to have a fourth person in a group. That was the entire plot of the movie, I think. So, cool, whatever. Maybe I needed to watch the first one. I don't know. It's not a reboot. It's kind of like a really weird sequel 20 years later.
I don't think you would have to watch the first one, because the first one, the plot after the Covenant stuff is pretty character based.
Is it?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm watching, the Covenant? Okay. This was my problem with the movie. The very first couple of scenes, it's Alanis Morissette playing on the radio, and these two women in the car start singing along. And I swear on my Winnie the Pooh glass that I thought they're just two friends in high school, because you know how they kind of like age out people anyways. So I'm like, okay, they're two college women, they're two older high school women, wherever they are, they're driving. No, it was mom and daughter. I'm like, how is that the mom if that's the daughter? Like the daughter's 32, the mom's 42? Like,
CW effect.
Yeah, I was like, exactly. It's the entire Riverdale. Like, eventually, one of you guys have to graduate, right? Is that the horror that you're 35 years old and you're still in high school? Is that your horror story here, Riverdale?
Don't worry.
Oh.
The Riverdale later seasons, they all have them come back as teachers or something. So they never leave high school.
Oh, that's Saved by the Bell, I think. But that was my thing. Like, oh my God, then I figured it out. I'm like, oh, what the heck? And then David Duchovny comes out of nowhere, and he's got three kids that look exactly the same except for the little kid. And then
they do. And
then the blood scene. Like, I don't know. I've never menstruated that I know of, but it was kind of big gushy. It was big gushy, and I understand. My menstruation experience comes from Big Mouth, the cartoon show. Sure, I get that. But my God, I couldn't imagine that being real in high school.
So, okay, as the only female here.
As we all like stare at your camera going, yes,
yeah.
Anytime, Evangeline.
So when you say gush scene, was it just like she stood up and then all of a sudden blood just spewed on
Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
There was a blood trail leading to her seat.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen just because, you have clothes on.
Right.
It's going to, if the worst case scenario, if you're bleeding heavily, it's going to run down your leg and probably start staining your socks if you've like bled so heavy that you did not notice or something.
Socks. My socks. Yes.
Oh my God. But like, unless she was not wearing any underwear or it was just a skirt or something,
no,
that's the only reason that she would be.
And that's, thank you for chiming in with that, because that's what, like, I'm trying to go back to my memory of like high school when people start like being excused to like, oh my God, I never remembered a blood trail. I never remembered like being able to hunt someone.
There's usually not a blood trail. I mean, in my whole my whole life, I've never seen that happen. And I know plenty of women, people who menstruate, who never left a blood trail anywhere. Like there's like stains on seats, things like that. Sure.
Right, absolutely.
Never anything that extreme. Which, here's the thing. I've seen this movie. I rented it as well. And I also saw the original. I thought it was, I didn't think it was that bad.
Really?
I actually kind of thought, yeah. And here's why. So I like The Craft, the original, I love The Craft. It's fantastic. We've got the like lines like "We're the weirdos, Mister." We've got like Robin Tooney in there killing it, just like fresh off of Empire Records. Like it's a good flick. There's a lot of good like practical effects, good magic, good like just kind of subtle rising like terror that happens throughout. Never gets like too bad, but like it's a really good like snapshot in time of that time for like women in that moment in high school that maybe didn't meet the mainstream. Like they didn't go with the same flow as everyone else did.
There might be a party of 5 because I think that was Nev Campbell's show was Party of 5, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Love
so
Nev
she
Campbell.
Kind of played that in that, yeah.
Love her. But I came at The Craft Legacy from a kind of similar way in that I feel like it's a snapshot of like now and what girls in high school might be experiencing now, with things like the blood played up to be the most mortifying experience it could possibly be, because in your head, if that happens to you, if you leave like a little blood on your seat or something like that, in your mind, it's everywhere. Everyone sees it.
It's Carrie.
It's played up. And so I felt like, so I wasn't like, it wasn't like my favorite film that I've ever watched, but as I was watching it, I also had this thought like, this is probably not for me. Like this movie probably wasn't made for me. It was probably made for women or people who identify as women younger than me. And
that's what Evie said.
That's
like, this movie's not for you, man. I'm like, maybe.
And so,
oh yeah.
And as I viewed it through that lens, I was like, and just reading reviews from like younger female viewers, it was just like, like they seem to be, mostly positive. So yeah, I was able to appreciate it for the things that like spoke to me about it, where it's like there were all these callbacks to the original film, which also probably wasn't for me, but I still love the shit out of it. And then there was all this new stuff, all this camaraderie, all this kind of like girls should be like, taking care of each other instead of like going against each other kind of vibe.
Right. And I did like that. And that's what I picked up. And that part was awesome when they start banding together.
Yeah.
And then they turn on each other. But when they started banding together, I can't, there's an issue I have with the ending and I can't spoil it. Without spoilers, it's really hard to do. And it's almost like they build up and the actor was like, I can see your point. Yeah,
I know.
Like I can see your point. Or this is what the worst case scenario for a woman to go through, and how the fears, kind of like the fears for a guy might have been in. It's almost like a Seth Rogen movie. What was it? Superbad. I think it was actually Superbad, where there's so much pressure to do things, and you look at this with an adult eye. I'm like, that's all date rape. Like the entire movie's about like getting someone drunk and then having sex with them when they can't have the knowledge or consent, informed consent. Like it's like John Hughes. I was teaching a class and I was like teaching John Hughes for a minute for screenplay, and they're like that's all date rape. I'm like, no, I was like, oh, you're right. At that time it was the image of that snapshot of the time. Now it doesn't really quite hold up, and that's
same with it's like Revenge of the Nerds, where you like kind of remember it being just like a fun kind of movie about nerds getting back at the society that's pushed them down, but you're like, man, this is like the rapiest movie I've ever seen.
Now, and I had explained that to Voodoo Priestess, and I think on Box, like way back then, nerd was like the worst thing you can tell someone for some reason. Like if you were just a kid in school, that was the easiest way to go.
You're smart, fuck you.
Yeah. Now it's kind of like, I was telling Voodoo, I don't have to wear glasses. It just makes me look smarter. That's it. Like, hey. Right? So we have this, and I can see if I was looking at it as a teenage girl, preteen girl. And that was one of the things I didn't know until I saw the PG-13 on it on IMDb when I Googled it today. I'm like, oh, it's a PG-13. I should have known better. As we're doing like Resident Evil for a hard R. Oh yeah. This would have been a different movie as an R. Oh yeah. This would have been blood, guts, and ass everywhere. Like, wow!
For sure.
Yeah, so that is going to inform, and see, this is what we talk. This is why we just discuss stuff one, and one. I'm gonna give this only because I really can't tell those guys apart still.
Oh, they look exactly the same. You're not wrong about that. That has nothing to do with like snapshot in time or anything. Those dudes look the same.
So I was like kind of freaked. I was like, we were recording like, I think like the brother's banging the other brother now. I don't know, man. Like, what am I watching? But yeah, and if they would have delved in a little bit more on that angle, because they come close and they go, they scoot away. It's gonna be a 2.5 out of 5 Cthulhu's, which
That's
is
fair.
the highest rating I gave today. My other movie was Cannibal Holocaust, or Cannibal Holocaust. My other movie.
Yeah,
So
Cannibal Holocaust with
2.5 out of 5. I could see it as a 3 if I was a little bit, let's say, more in tune with the youthful side.
That's fair.
Or if they would have a little bit deeper with the mature themes. I think they could have gone with deeper for sure.
Yeah, they actually could have hit a lot of the issues they were trying to talk about harder, and they did end up shying away from a lot of it. I also thought that when I first watched it.
Yeah, and some of the things we're not trying to be vague on purpose. It's just some of it is a plot spoiler.
Yeah.
So we can't quite say. All right. With that being said, awesome. We do our plugs, and since you're the guest, what do you want to plug?
Oh, okay. I don't have much to plug. You can follow me on Twitter at FormaldehydeFce. There's no A in face, so just bear that in mind because Twitter wouldn't let me add that extra letter. And you can also go to my blog if you want. I haven't updated it in a while because I have depression, but it's aurevoirfingernails.wordpress.com. And I do horror reviews and stuff like that. And I will be getting back to it. Like I said, it's been a time, you know.
It's okay. We understand.
Yeah,
It's awful.
Like, trust us. We all had that conversation, like the 5 minutes before we called you up. Actually, that was our conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, how you doing? Yeah, you know, that's awesome. And I met your Twitter profile through Voodoo Priestess, and it is amazing stuff. And I absolutely
thank you.
recommend follows and engagements. Always. And
I really appreciate that.
It's all honest and truthful. And now, Voodoo Priestess, show us the screwdriver you want to plug. Oh wait, you're not plugging the screwdriver. You changed it. Sorry,
I changed it to a cat.
Oh,
yes,
it's very cool.
The anime Natsume no Yujincho, or Natsume's Book of Friends. This is Nyanko Sensei, and he's adorable, wearing the skin of a different Nyanko Sensei.
Adorable and creepy.
I love it. If you look into its eyes, you feel like you're gonna see how you're gonna die.
I know, right?
So proud of that one. Okay, that's awesome. And then I am gonna plug, since I already plugged something else last time, I'm gonna plug comicbooklegaldefensefund.org, cbdlf.org. If you're into graphic novels, if you're into First Amendment rights about talking and being able to express yourselves, give them a follow, give them some donation. I've got an autographed mouse by Art Spiegelman for $50 Canadian.
Whoa.
US, one of the two. Either way, it's a steal. I got autographed preachers, like anything you want. They have artists pitching in. I think Neil Gaiman is doing a bunch of stuff for them right now. So hop on comicbooklegaldefensefund.org. Check them out. Spend your money. Protect your First Amendment rights, because without actually freedom of speech, none of our horror movies would exist. Like, they would never do Resident Evil. Like, oh, sorry, this, and this, and this. Oh, witchcraft. We can't talk about witchcraft in mine. And, well, they'll still do Eevees because why not? It's just killing vampires. That's all that is.
Yeah.
And
it's a good old time.
7-year run of a probably successful TV show.
7-year incredible run.
Must have missed. So I'll check that out later on. For myself, Jim Phoenix, and my co-host Voodoo Priestess, and our very special guest FormaldehydeFce, I bid you goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
I hear a cat.